was very
What are you trying to say?
Hi!
Welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is the 15th of December. We are 10 days away from the big day.
Christmas.
Maybe.
Go around the world or we go straight
all
to
around
Britain?
the world. Let's go to Britain.
All right.
First, we need to explain. You said, what goes on now after?
Where does Brexit go from here? I have a video with Nigel kind of explaining that.
I did my hair so that, not on purpose, but so that I could wear my hat today.
Boris Johnson tried so spectacularly
My British hat.
Good morning.
Because after 3.5
Wait. So if you're just joining us, if you did not catch our show on Friday, which we did, go ahead and do
It was a great show. Wear it forward. Put it forward. You just put it forward on your head. I'm telling you to wear it forward the way it's supposed to be. There you go. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Okay. The Tories, which is the right-leaning Conservative Party in Britain, triumphed thanks to Nigel Farage taking chunks of the radical leftist socialist vote out of the northern Brexiting labor strongholds. Consider them the Democrat working collar, like coal miners and fishery workers and unions and things. Yeah, exactly. Who would never have voted conservative in a million years. They voted for Nigel's party. Even Corbyn's allies have said Nigel running his Brexit party candidates stole those votes, giving the Tories the win.
Not to mention that, but you can back up, and they've actually done some research and some not polling, but actual research, and they can see where Labour voters who never would have voted for the Conservatives voted UKIP after the referendum.
Yeah.
And then they voted for the Brexit party in the MEPs in the European Parliament, and then that allowed them to take baby steps to take the leap to vote for the Conservative Party.
And we're hopeful that these are new. The Tories, the Conservative Party, Boris Johnson's party, they have 80 seats majority. I think that was plus 50 that were taken from the Labour Party and the Lib one. I don't know if the Lib Dems only lost one, their leader.
Jo Swinson.
So taken from Labour, just chunks and chunks. I mean, 50 seats. It's unbelievable. They did take some from the DP. But anyways.
But the SNP gained like 13 seats.
Yeah,
the Scottish Nationalist Party. Now they're getting ready to listen.
The big news is
going
how
all out
small
and leaving.
the Labour Party is. Yeah. Like, it's almost non-existent at this point. Yeah, it's just, I think it was like, the numbers were like 131 to 386 or 380 or something.
Look it up
you
here.
can look at exactly. It's just absolutely just a blowout, really. But where does Britain go from here? We are assured, I can say this with almost definitive fact, there will be no second referendum, that this was the second referendum.
This is the photo that I chose for our thumbnail, and then I added to it, but this has the numbers.
Labour 191, Conservatives 361. That's a
68.
trouncing. It's just a trouncing.
Is that a British word you're using? Trouncing?
I think it's here too.
So
where does Nigel's party go from here, and where does Britain go from here? They have the new deadline, which actually might very well be met. I knew it wasn't going to be met, the Halloween one.
January 31st.
I knew that the June one was not going to be met.
Right.
I knew that the March one was not going to be met. But I think that this time,
the January 31st,
that has a good chance of it. I'm not going to say for sure, but it has a good chance.
Here's the question. This is where where we can kind of place our bets. This kind of feels like a horse betting hat, by the way. Place our bets on whether we will be leaving with no deal. I feel part of this. Okay, it's we. Okay, these are my comrades in arms over there across the pond. Whether we will be leaving on the 31st with no deal on WTO terms, or if we will have a a deal that maybe is better than May's, maybe even better than the one that Boris tried to put through, but still not that great, I'm kind of putting my money on that.
Yeah, that's
where my money is.
So here we have Nick Ferrari with Nigel.
Farage, why did Boris Johnson triumph so spectacularly last night? Good morning.
Because after 3.5 years, people have simply had enough of Brexit not being delivered, and they looked at Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party, dominated by London Remainers, and the thought that they'd been made to go back to the ballot box filled them with absolute horror. So they voted Conservative in very big numbers, and I have to say, Boris Johnson, I thought, very cleverly acknowledged that in his speech this morning when he said they've lent their vote to the Conservative Party. He knows that to hang on to those votes, he's got a lot to do. But the really important point, Nick, is we will be leaving at the end of January. I don't like the deal as it currently is, but in historical terms, there'll be no second referendum, and we are leaving, so it's a big result.
Why did your party not break through?
Well, it's almost impossible to break through in British politics with our electoral system unless you've been around for many years and won lots of seats at council level. But the question was...
But you did in the European elections, Mr Farage.
Oh, I know.
We triumphed.
Well, yeah. Different system, Nick. Proportional representation as opposed to first past the post. First past the post drives people into binary choices, whether they like it or not. And I've long been an advocate for the system changing, of course, but last night was what it was. So, and also, what I did, as you know, I stood down against the Conservatives in the South and the South West because the Liberal Democrats would have won a lot of seats off them if we'd been standing. I used this election in every way I could to stop there being a second referendum, and compared to the thought of a Marxist government and a second referendum, this is a good outcome.
What of Jeremy Corbyn's stewardship of the Labour Party, Nigel Farage? How do you view that?
I think that the sort of impression I was getting in the north of England in seats where we were getting a lot of votes from traditional working class Labour voters, I mean, the sort of things they said to me, Nick, were he's an IRA sympathiser, he won't sing the national anthem. Old Labour is patriotic, and Mr Corbyn never ticked that box. I think the anti-Semitism appalled many in Middle England, but above all, you cannot be Her Majesty's loyal opposition and have a Brexit policy of a second referendum when you can't even tell people what side you might support.
You've talked of the Brexit Party becoming the Reform Party. What do you mean by that, Mr Farage?
Well, what I mean is the voting system is out of date. I mean, even with a big historic election like last night, most constituencies simply never ever change hands, and I think a degree of proportionality would give us more positive politics than we've got. I've got still grave reservations about the postal voting system. I think we've got to have a written constitution, because otherwise we have a Supreme Court that's out of control. And the idea that you can chuck your mates in the House of Lords or party donors belongs to the time of Henry VIII, I would suggest, not the 21st century Britain. So I think there's an awful lot of reform that's still needed.
So is that what you will now turn your attentions to, moving to and establishing and founding the Reform Party?
Well, that is a thought I've got, Nick. I mean, I have to make another decision too, don't I? I mean, I've been on this for over 25 years.
But you're there. You've got... let's get Brexit done, and the country have said, yes, Boris, let's get Brexit done.
Yeah, no, look, and I saw last night former UKIP candidates being elected as Conservative MPs. I do feel that I've managed to shift the centre of gravity of British politics. The question I must ask myself over the next week is, do I want to spend another 10 or 20 years doing it? And that I haven't yet got the answer to.
And lastly, 2% in the polls, a huge disappointment, Nigel Farage.
Well, we didn't stand in 55% of seats, so I think you could put it up a bit from that.
4.
But, yeah, Nick, we were getting 15, 18% of the vote in many, many Labour seats that the Conservatives won. If we hadn't got that vote, they wouldn't have won those seats. That was the big difference. I said, 4 weeks ago, we are going to take on Corbyn's Labour, and in the Midlands and the North, we did it with great effect.
And lastly, to the rumour that you're US bound to help 2020 President Trump's campaign, Nigel Farage.
Endless rumours. All I would say to you as an old newspaperman is don't believe all you read in the newspapers.
And I used to write some of that, Nigel, so I hear what you're saying. Nigel Farage, leader and founder of the Brexit Party, thank you for...
So he answered so much in that interview.
Yeah, he's so quick. That's what makes Nigel so good. He can speak, he's quick, he says what he's going to say, and he says it quickly, and he can get so many points in, and that is why I believe Brexit is done.
Yeah.
Because people need those sound bites.
Yeah.
They need those clips, and he went on Good Morning America, he said the same thing on, or Good Morning Britain. He went on Good Morning Britain, he said the same thing there.
And I'm glad that he got that last bit in there because it's so underrated and it's not focused. And even Nick Ferrari, as cool as he is, didn't expound on that. It's like they're told not to acknowledge the fact that in these labor constituencies, he got 13 to 15% of the vote. Yeah. And without that, the seat would not have flipped conservative. I'm like, it's kind of like, I'm like, how is no one talking about that?
Yeah. The places where he campaigned the most, he was able to rally the people. Those people were excited. Yeah. Okay. And, you know, Nigel Farage is one of the, when we talk about politics, he's one of the best politicians there has ever been. Yeah. Literally, and I have goosebumps, Nigel Farage he should go down in history as one of the best politicians because he stays positive. Yeah. He stays upbeat. When he goes after, even when he goes after his opponents, he does so with a chuckle and a laugh. Yeah. He's got an angle, and his angle is right. He has a forethought, and he has a foresight in a prophetic way. People will look to Nigel and they'll say, well, why didn't this happen? And why didn't this happen? And why didn't this happen? And we talked about this, it was chess. Nigel couldn't see in the future. He created this Brexit party in 6 weeks. Yeah. In 6 weeks. And
they were asking for him to be a fortune teller and know what the other side was going to do and to have it all planned out exactly. And even when they're asking him these questions, it's almost like they're still asking him, like, your prophecies failed. And Nigel's like, I never made any prophecies.
He could have been incredibly bitter. He could have been incredibly bitter because in these labor constituencies...
Bitter. It sounded like you said better. Bitter in these labor constituencies that did go conservative.
If Boris had stood down his person,
exactly,
they would have voted Brexit Party, and he could have had 50, 60 MPs in there overnight and been running this Brexit Party.
If Boris had done what Nigel did. They could have formed a coalition, and
so Boris or Nigel took the higher ground.
He did.
When he was saying, Boris, we could, and they won the Conservatives still won those constituencies, okay? But they would not, I don't believe they would have won them without Nigel going in there and saying, okay, we're still going to run our people, because if we pull out our people, you're going to lose.
Well, and not only that, though, let's also take into consideration the fact
that's huge.
The fact that with Nigel going up there and campaigning in these hard heartlands, okay,
he was campaigning for Brexit.
And that gives people an opportunity to make a strategic decision on their own. Should I vote Labour? Should I vote Brexit Party? Should I vote for the Tories? Should I vote Conservative? Yeah. And so he was actually campaigning for the Conservative Party because they are the party of Brexit now.
They had the same manifesto.
Yeah.
So in doing so, that he was, you know, a lot of people were scared into voting for the Conservative Party and not for the Brexit Party. Yeah. He was this close, and I think that, and I listen, it's easy to see. Right. That if Boris had stood down, then you would be looking at a conservative Brexit coalition. Yeah, of the same numbers, the exact same numbers. Right. So it is that. All right. So we could beat this as much as it is. I really want to explain that, and I really would love to sit down, and I would love to tell Nigel, you know, I see. Like, those who have eyes to see will see. Other people will see this as Boris triumphing. If Boris has any intelligence in his brain whatsoever, he went to bed that night knowing this was not my victory.
Maybe I will call Nigel in this week and tell him.
This was not the Conservatives' victory. Right. Okay?
Right.
Nigel Farage put us over the top.
Right.
Especially going in and campaigning against Labour. That really got people to think. It really got people out to vote. The Brexit Party did get people out to vote. Okay?
Yep.
So then we have Jeremy Corbyn over here, who declares we won in the aftermath of election catastrophe. This is this goes to show the kind of the cognitive dissonance of the left. Hard left Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn has struck a defiant tone in the wake of his party's electoral disaster on December 12th, declaring we won the argument and insisting our time will come. I don't quite think that you ticked your boxes quite right. We won the argument, but I regret we didn't convert that into a majority for change. Ran the headline for the Socialist First opinion piece since the historic defeat. The worst his party has suffered since the interwar period in the Observer, a sister paper to the Guardian, and added that there is no doubt that our policies are popular. Seeking an explanation as to why the party was crushed in its working-class heartlands in northern England, then Corbyn opined that a Conservative party prepared to exploit divisions capitalised on the frustration created by its own failure to deliver on the European Union referendum result to the cost of a Labour Party seeking to bring our country together to face the future. Jeremy Corbyn whipped his votes against Brexit in these Brexit votes in Theresa May. Mr. Corbyn neglected to mention the key role he himself played in assuring Brexit was not delivered, however, by combining with leftist third parties and EU loyalist Tory rebel MPs, most of whom were wiped out on election day, to frustrate. Oh my gosh, the compilation, and you guys can watch our Friday show, of these 50 really upset Labour MPs who had a really cushy job. I liked my job. I did nothing and I got paid good money to do it. Yeah. They're mad.
It makes me
now
so
they have to
happy.
go get a real job.
It makes me so happy. Jo Swinson's face when she lost.
What is she going to do? Bag groceries now?
I don't know.
No, she's going to go work for the company, the LGBT children hormone company.
She has a lot
listen to this. I read this in an article. A company that makes hormones for children transitioning gave the Lib Dems $100,000, which is why she had to push it.
We love you guys. God loves you. God bless.
God bless.
And we'll see you back on Friday for sure, but probably before that for the premiere. So be watching. Check out resistancechicks.com and our YouTube channel for more information. So, all right, you guys. God bless.
I was cold.